everybody, it's Lou. Since December, Australia's social media ban for kids under 16, requiring platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube to block access with hefty fines for noncompliance has been in effect. Evidently, teens have already found a way around it, which highlights some of the predictable challenges in enforcement. But it begs many questions, and many people are interested in this experiment, including what impact there may be in an intelligent community like Sunshine Coast, which many of you are familiar with as a perennial top 7. It's committed itself to developing a skilled, advanced digital workforce. It's reshaping its tourist-based economy and wants to lead in areas like robotics. How important or what impact might a ban like this have on that education? What is the purpose of it? So the intelligent community, the soul of the city, wanted to find out, and we want to know how it's playing out so far in one of our intelligent communities and in Australia, where we have several intelligent communities in our family and network. And so we reached out to the Sunshine Coast, and we found, they said, the perfect person. It's Dr. Karen Sutherland. Dr. Sutherland is renowned and an award-winning social media educator and author from the University of the Sunshine Coast. And as I noted, it's a perennial top 7 intelligent community and a great place to live. And now they've got some things going on in their school. Now, her research spans AI and strategic communication, social media pedagogy and practice. Her latest book, titled AI for Strategic Communication, appears in over 20 countries. Dr. Sutherland has been featured in the Journal, the Wall Street Journal, Euronews, ABC, Sky News, and has been Ticker's AI and social media expert since 2020. And we're really delighted to have her coming from that beautiful Sunshine Coast in Queensland. Dr. Karen Sutherland, welcome to the intelligent community, soul of the city.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, it's great to see you. And I'm not going to ask you how the weather is because it'll just give you a chance to rub it in.
It's pretty nice. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's always beautiful there. Well, listen, let's get right into it. Australia's social media ban, as I mentioned, for kids under 16 has been in effect for I think since the middle of September or December 10th.
Yes.
First of all, Dr. Sutherland, what is it? What is that ban specifically?
Well, the ban is for people under 16 years of age, and it's blocking them from being able to access social media platforms that are on the list, the government list of platforms. And the list is changing by the day because, as we know, young people are very innovative and resourceful. And so there's so many social media platforms that I think the government it's almost like whack-a-mole trying to keep up with where they're going. So the ban just restricts people under 16 from being able to access the social media platforms that have been regulated by the government.
Right. And just two things there. I mean, the rationale is in the background we got is to protect kids from cyberbullying, harmful content, online predators. And the enforcement is requiring that these platforms take, quote, reasonable steps to prevent access, or they face penalties, sometimes up to about 49.5 million Australian. Does that sound about right? Is that the rationale?
Yes, that's the rationale. I mean, there's been a lot of research to show the damage that social media can have on younger people. And I think the government is just trying to, avoid that from happening and protect younger people in Australia from using social media and encountering that sort of harm.
I mean, has there been any impact so far? I guess most of the impact would be, we saw something like that in New York. Kids were getting to class faster. So there were certain improvements. As you look at it from your unique perch, what has been the impact so far?
Well, there have been both positive and negative impacts. And these are just reports. There hasn't been any research yet to really drill down into what the impacts are. I think it's too soon. But from the anecdotal evidence that's coming out in news reports and things like that, so parents are saying that their kids are going outside more and they
Hmm.
are not on their phones so much, and they're finding other ways to communicate. The downside is there have been a number of calls. We have a service here called Kids Helpline that kids can reach out to if they need some support. And the numbers of calls have increased significantly to Kids Helpline. Kids are feeling very uh, isolated and disconnected. And I think we haven't really educated younger people in how to communicate outside of social media. So I think
Hmm.
taking that away so suddenly has led to a lot of sort of loss and a feeling of disconnection. So it's had positive and negative results so far, but again, it's still very soon to say
Right.
completely.
Yeah. At this point, it's been only since December. I want to ask you because we know quite a bit about Sunshine Coast, having studied them, and they've been in our program for years. My colleague John Young just wrote a long Substack about Sunshine Coast, and as you look through that, you see a terrific community that's going to expand its population. That has the sub sea cables there. That has some great advantages for in the digital space, and they are focused on developing their digital economy as well as that magnificent tourist economy where we all go to surf and enjoy ourselves. And it's a very serious effort. I mean, they've got robo coast programs, robotics programs, which, by the way, 70% of participants are women. So you've got all of that going on, which is part of a future economic plan. Um, since you're a social media management expert, what, in your view, is the proper role for social media for younger people as a tool for education and enhancement for future economic consequence?
I think I, I think education has to play a huge role in social media and younger people having social media, being able to determine what's real and what's not, and also being able to try not to be influenced in negative ways by using it. And I don't think that I think we've tried to educate, but it was almost like a case of the horse has already bolted. We sort of tried to do
Mm.
that after, and it's been very difficult to do that. I think it's important for younger people to learn about social media, but at a point where they have they're a bit more mature and have better judgment. But I think leaving it up to the platforms to determine who gets access and who doesn't, I think is problematic, because what we're seeing is some younger people under 16 still have access, and others
Yeah.
don't. And and then sometimes people in their friend group will turn 16, they'll have access, or the younger person under 16 won't, and the rest of their friends do. So it's causing a lot of sort of conflict in that
Mm.
way. But I think it's important now. I mean, we at UniSC, when I first arrived in 2015, there was only one social media course, and now we have a whole major in it, because it's a core communication skill, and employers are looking for that. And it doesn't even matter what area you go into; social media plays a key part in communication. We have students from engineering and nutrition and all sorts of areas who are studying other things, who come and do the social media courses because they need to learn how to communicate effectively in that way. So I think
Right.
it plays a really key role, but I guess it's more around firstly learning how to manage your own personal use of it in a way that's more positive than negative.
Right. And how does that sort of influence? And I agree with you. And I was in the advertising business a long time ago, and I always thought that advertising should have been taught more aggressively in schools so that people wouldn't be so persuaded by what we were able to do to them. But how does social media um, sort of influence itself and maybe move into the economic space? I mean, is there, because you talked a lot about the psychological space, which is the concern of every parent, but there's also this absolute requirement to understand that tool for, as I said, the economy ahead. How would you distinguish that?
Well, I think I mean, ultimately, social media it's a relationship management tool, a long-term relationship management tool
Mm,
where people build trust with if you own a business or you're trying to make money from a product or a service or or from your own personal brand over time. It's there to build trust with people, so then they'll want to do business with you. And it can
right.
also be used to share messages around sort of activism, and there's so many different things that it can do. So I think in that way, having that understanding of how you can do it, firstly to build trust and relationships, will then uh, end up becoming something that you can monetize and build a business through. So it's understanding those key components first, rather than sort of rushing in and just thinking you're going to it's a money making machine, because it doesn't work like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is interesting. Yeah. So, and I mean, when I started, social media wasn't really a whole career. You couldn't have a career in it. It was more just another task that someone
That's
might
right.
do in a marketing department. But now, I mean, many organizations have social media departments and you can actually have a great career working as a social media manager or in different aspects of social media.
Yeah. Are schools in the Sunshine Coast enforcing this sort of equally, or what's been the reaction so far
Well,
within the schools?
throughout Queensland, the Queensland Department of Education has been onto this like for a while, and in 2024 they brought out a rule. It's called the Away for the Day rule, and it's not meaning you get to stay away from school for the day, but it means your phone has to be put away for the day. And this happens every day in state schools throughout Queensland, including the Sunshine Coast, where uh, students and younger students are not allowed to have their phones with them throughout the day. And if parents need to contact them, they can contact the office, and they get their phone, they drop it off in the morning, and then they get it back at the end of the day. In
Right.
sort of more private schools, I'm not sure of the rules around that, but I'm sure they would have similar rules as well.
Something similar. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what we do when we go to prison. No, but when we go into embassies and like that,
Yeah.
we have to check in our phones. I have to ask you this, and I was just mentioning to you because you've got a book out now about AI and strategic communication. Before we went on, and I mentioned it to you and Ari, the mayor of New York there were AI generated images depicting him with Jeffrey Epstein as a
Mm.
young child. It's incredibly difficult because it's all false, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This story was reported in the Gothamist, which is a reliable New York publication. But there you go. I mean, there's a great example of how AI, social media, because it's halfway around New York right now. This story has had an influence on a mayor regarding
Yes.
something that never happened. What are we going to
Yes.
do about that? What do you advise communities to do when a mayor gets hit like that, or when a prominent citizen gets hit, or anybody gets hit like that?
It's a real issue. And I think, I mean, in Australia, the law is starting to catch up with the technology, but it's always going to be behind. And
Yeah.
it is an issue. And that has been an issue for what's happening in high schools and things like that, where some students have created deep fakes of other students in sort of more pornographic images and things like that, and shared it around. And it's just devastating to that person who they've created the deep fake about. And I think the government is trying to stamp it out, but it's very, very difficult. I know now on some social media platforms, I've noticed on LinkedIn this week, if you upload an AI generated image, it will put a watermark on there that you can't remove.
Yeah.
So I think more and more, I think social media platforms will make sure that you're aware that these images that have been generated with AI. And in other countries, like in China now, it's against the law to upload any AI generated content without fully disclosing it. And social media platforms are penalized if they allow that to go through. So
Yeah.
maybe this will, I don't think we have the laws in place yet, but I think we're in early days of AI really becoming more mainstream. And so I think hopefully there'll be more guardrails put in place.
Yeah, it sounds like something that you feel should be legislated, or should be rules
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would
Absolutely.
agree with you. We've only got about a minute left, Karen. I really appreciate your time. What would you like to see if we were to sit down, or if I were to get invited down to Sunshine Coast? Did you hear that, City Council? It- and a year from now, what would you like to see as the primary outcome of the new ban in schools? What would
Look, I would like more education. So while the ban has limited access, I think it can't be the only measure. I think we need more parental guidance. I think we need more education around how to use social media and how to use it effectively and positively. And I think we need more research to see what the outcomes are of the ban. And so that's what I would really like to see going forward, just more initiatives, and also teaching younger people how to communicate without social media and maybe even without their phones, other ways to do it, because I think just cutting off their lifeline to their community is not the only way.
No, it's so critical to community to do the types of things you and I are doing, actually having a discussion. And as I always tell
Yes.
people, I was never happier than when I was sitting under a tree talking to my grandfather and his brothers and everybody in my community about things, and
Yes.
it really reinforced a sense of my own cohesive community. So let's hope that can sort of happen and go forward. Dr. Sutherland, we really appreciate your time and look forward to your work. And good luck with the book.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That was Dr. Karen Sutherland from the Sunshine Coast, and we were talking about the new media ban here on the Intelligent Community. If you'd like to know more about the Intelligent Community, and go to intelligentcommunity.org, you can also learn about Sunshine Coast. The name of her book is AI for Strategic Communication, and that's Dr. Karen Sutherland. On behalf of our producer, Ari Yates, also in warm Los Angeles, we thank you. And remember, there really is no place like home. Take care.